Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video featuring some more sacrifice patterns. So you probably can never study too many puzzles or tactical problems that contain sacrifices. You never know when one will appear over the board in your own games. So here we just had a pawn capture. What do we do? What would you do in this position with black to move? Look for a sacrifice. So, at least we have a hint here. Now, if you're unfamiliar with pattern recognition, you want to basically solve a batch of puzzles and you go over them more than once. That way you don't just do them once and forget about them. But here, what do we have? Look at checks, captures, and threats in that order. This is a big hint here, this battery of queen and bishop. So maybe we could go here. If there's a capture of our bishop, then our queen would go up there and deliver the check. And would that be a mate? Well, hopefully you noticed the bishop over here covering these squares around the king. All right, so check, sacrificing the bishop, recapture with the queen, and mate with the crisscrossing bishop and queen. All right, I'll try and do at least 10 problems. On to the next one here. Our queen was delivering a check from way down in the corner here. So the king runs towards the center, and with our theme of looking at checks first, what do we even have? Well, we have a rook check. Obviously we have a queen check here as well. Or the queen could even go up into the corner. But whatever goes up there, we have to be careful because the knight will be able to capture. So that makes a difference. So if the queen would go up there and be captured, the rook would have to recapture. And it doesn't look like this square would be covered. So we probably have to bring the rook up first. So rook checks, knight captures, queen recaptures with check, and that should deliver the mate. Oh, hold on. We might have another problem, and this is common when you're looking and trying to solve tactics. This knight is here at the moment, but after we start trading off, that knight won't be there, and the king will have a possibility of escaping to that square, running to c7. So let's double check that. If we have a sacrifice of the rook, the knight captures, the queen captures with check, now the king will be able to run to where the knight was on c7. And do we have a good follow-up after that? So once again, rook checks, knight captures, queen captures with check, king runs up to c7. The queen could drop back to c6 and check because the knight would be covering that. All right, let's go with that. That way we can get on with the problem here. Okay, now the queen can drop back to c6 and check, and the king will only have two squares to run to, here or here. If he goes to d8, then we can move up to d7 and checkmate. But if he goes here, we can attack with our knight. Do we have any other possibilities? That looks to be the only way to go. So check. And now the knight will be able to deliver a check. But then what? So The knight jumps up here delivering a check. The only place the king can go is here. And then what? All right. Ooh, okay, this one's a little trickier. So, knight delivers the check. King runs over here. Oh, and then we can capture that pawn. So, and we'll have a mate the next move. Wow. So, yes, here the only place the king can run is up there, and then we can mate. So that one was a little more in depth. I hope you did well on that one. Okay, on to the next one. If I want to get 10 of these, I better move a little bit faster. Okay, queen has dropped back to help defend because we're threatening a mate right here. So, if we look at checks first, we can't really do that. We can't check there. Now, remember, you want to look at checks, captures, and threats in that order. Neither one of our checks with the queen will work because we'll just be captured. So, do we have any captures? No. Threats. So we need to threaten something. So maybe we can bring our bishop over here and threaten the queen. It'll be pinned to the king. If the queen captures our bishop, then we can deliver a mate. So we sacrifice the bishop and deliver the checkmate. All right, on to the next problem. Okay, the knight has jumped forward attacking our bishop. What can we do here? Okay, hopefully you found the solution. Pause at any time if you need more time to think. Look for the checks first, and hopefully you'll be able to solve this one fairly easily. All right, remember, you probably need at least two, or well, 3 is an average number of attackers that you need to deliver a checkmate, but it depends on what defenses the opponent has. So here we have a rook, a bishop, we have another bishop, so we have at least 3. You know, maybe we could even get the queen involved. So that's a hint. Hopefully you're able to find this. So if we look at checks first, what happens if we sacrifice the rook? Well, the king cannot move over because of that bishop, so it would have to capture, and then the queen can get involved, sliding over, delivering a check, and the only way to delay the inevitable is to block. With the queen, we could just capture that. So here we go. And we deliver a mate with queen and bishop working together after that sacrifice of the rook. Okay. Well, this one looks a little familiar. We have the bishop chasing the king into the corner. So we have one attacker. The knight's in the area, so maybe 2. And perhaps we can get that queen involved once again. All right. We want to look for checks first. So maybe we sacrifice the knight. Threaten a fork. Also, the king can't go anywhere, so he would have to capture with the pawn. But then our queen can move over, deliver an attack. The bishop could block, but we could just take that and deliver a mate. So hopefully you solved it. and mate with queen and bishop. All right, on to the next one. The rook has just, excuse me, moved to the center here, targeting our rook along with the queen. So we need to do something here. All right. We have two pawns for his knight. Look for checks first. So the only check I see is sacrificing the rook for the knight. We capture. If they capture, then our other rook can swing over, delivering a check. And there's also a possibility of that queen jumping up here and delivering a mate. So I think their queen would have to block the check, and then we could just take that. So capture, capture, recapture with check. If the king tries to run, then our queen can move up here and deliver a mate. So maybe queen blocks. Then if we capture the queen, we'll be ahead. So capture and capture with check. And that's all the further they're going to take it, because if the king moves, our queen will deliver a mate right here. So I'm thinking they would have to block. We take, they take. We have the rooks versus our queen, but we have more pawns. All right, the final four problems. Speaking of the final four, is March Madness still going? Or wait, that's probably over by now. I didn't even see who won, who made it into the final four of March Madness. I guess I'll have to go back and look at that. Especially all you basketball fans out there probably know more of what happened. Okay, we just had a capture. Our queen is under attack. What else is happening here? Okay, our queen's under attack. Our knight is pinned to the queen. Except, is it really? Could we have a discovered attack on that queen? Because it's unprotected. So remember, if you're looking around for tactics, look for any unprotected pieces. So we have a rook that's unprotected, a queen that's unprotected. So that could give us hints on where to look at for tactical possibilities, and sacrifices to get those pieces. So maybe we move our knight here, delivering a check to the king, and then we take the queen. That's a possibility. Sacrificing the knight, but then we gain the queen. Let's see if there's anything else that's even better than that. Do we sacrifice our queen? Taking the knight, king captures. Then I don't see a follow-up there. Now let's look at the material. We have 6 pawns versus 6. Looks like material's even, so I think we can just go after the queen by checking the king. All right, so that's what they wanted. That was a temporary sacrifice of the knight. Well, I don't know. I guess it was we sacrificed our knight, but then we gained the material back and then some, grabbing the queen. All right, the final three, what do we have here? A capture on c3. Okay. And it might be harder to see all the attacks, the tactics, and the sacrifices when there's a lot of pieces all over the board. It makes it more difficult to figure out what to do. So we're looking at checks, captures, and threats. Okay, we could capture the pawn with check. The queen could capture this pawn with check. Those are our two options. So maybe we take the pawn. If the king captures, our queen delivers a check followed by a mate. But what if we capture and the king does not take? Well, if he moves up, we could pick off the bishop. I think he'll be in a worse position if we don't take. So we go there. Well, I shouldn't say that because he's about to get mated, so that is a worse position. Excuse me. So it would have been better to take the worst position material-wise instead of allowing yourself to be mated, of course. All right, the final two problems. Here we go. I hope you're doing well on these. Remember, go over a set of puzzles nice and slow the first time, then go over the same set of puzzles again, and then do that multiple times until you start being able to solve the puzzles faster and faster, and eventually you'll just be able to see the patterns and remember the patterns much more easily the more you solve puzzles. Probably if you want to improve at chess, just do a lot of puzzles regularly every day, and the patterns will start being seared into your brain, into your memory, and you'll remember them better. Okay, the king has stepped forward attacking our knight. If we're looking for checks first, what do we have? Our rook could move up here and check, but then the knight would be captured. Our knight could retreat and deliver a check. Oh, okay. And this is a sacrifice video, so we go up here sacrificing the knight. Now, sometimes people think of sacrifices where you move a piece and take something like a pawn, and then the piece can be captured by another pawn and you've sacrificed it. But you can also sacrifice by just leaving a piece that is under attack, like this knight, just leaving it there where it can be captured. So we'll bring our rook up here and get that in the game. And while the opponent is wasting time going after that knight, then we can swing the rook over here and deliver a mate on the edge of the board. So there we go. Now, I guess the other option would be, if we go up here, what happens if he doesn't take that knight? He could only run into the corner. Oh, and then we would deliver a mate there too with the rook. Okay, the final problem. Oh, here, might as well redo this one. There we go. So on to the next. The final problem is, let's see, a rook moved over here to the center. I didn't see if it captured something or if it just moved. But now it's black's turn. We're behind by a rook and two pawns, so we need to do something here. Excuse me. All right. This is a little bit trickier. Okay, if we're looking for sacrifices, maybe there's a sacrifice with check, so we could capture. The king or the pawn could recapture. And then, I don't know, I don't see much of a follow-up, so maybe we need to drive that king into the corner first using our pawns. So if we're looking for checks first, maybe there's a pawn check. The king would be forced into the, well, over to the side of the board. And then we sacrifice the rook for this pawn and allows the bishop to deliver the mate. So that's a nice little pattern there. You know, that'd be nice to pull that off in a game. All right. Well, feel free, as always, to leave comments. I always enjoy hearing from viewers and subscribers. Let me know what your thoughts are on this or anything else. Positive or negative, I don't mind. Please like and please like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.